All right. We're gonna work in InDesign, and we're gonna open up a new document. So the new document is, we're gonna go ahead and set up our new document based on our project brief. So the width is going to be 8. We're gonna work in inches. 8 by 10 inches. We're going to be doing 4 pages, and they're facing pages. Then we're going to be the next step is very important, the start number. Because we're going to be working in facing pages and we're doing 2 spreads, when you're working in InDesign, the first page defaults to page 1. Page 1 is always a right-hand page. So you want to make sure you change your starting number to an even number. So you can make it 2, you can make it 20, you can make it 200, you can make it any even number, but it needs to be an even number so that your spreads, your pages will sit right next to each other side by side. And I'll show you an example of that. Now, based on your grid sketches that you did, you want to choose which column spread, grid layout you want to use for your digital roughs. Is your grid a 4-column grid? Did you create a 3-column grid, a 6-column grid? Whatever grid in your sketches that is the one you want to move forward with, because you have 3 sets to choose from, that's what one you're going to go with. And so I'm going to use a 6-column grid for my demo. But again, you're going to use the one that you created based on your sketches, okay? Next, we're going to create the gutter. Now, we did our type studies, and we just went through everybody's type studies and chose which design type study we want to move forward with. You want to look at your body copy. You made a point size and a leading that you want to move forward with. So the leading is what we're going to use for our column gutter as well as our baseline grid. So for example, I'm going to use 12 points, and I'm going to type in the word points for my gutter, and that's going to be the same for my baseline grid when I set that up in the next screen. And then before I finish, I'm going to put my margin in. Now be aware, you can make your margin different for the top, the bottom, the inside, and the outside of your spread. And I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. So for example, for my top margin, I'm going to make it 3/4 of an inch. My bottom margin, I'm going to make 1 inch because I'm going to be putting page numbers in my margin, and I want to have a little extra space there. I'm going to make my inside margin also 3/4 of an inch, and I'm going to make my outside margin 1 inch. And then I'm going to say create. And this is what it looks like. So it's just my grid, my columns, my 6-column grid. You can see I have my margins, which are, they're 3/4 of an inch on the inside and top, 1 inch on the outside and the bottom. They're just slightly different. Is everyone with me before I move on? Okay, so the next step, we're now in InDesign, and I want to see, why am I not seeing what workspace I'm in? Before we get started here, I want to make sure I'm in, I feel like my workspace has gotten all wonky. Where did everything go? I'm going to go to my window. I'm going to go to workspace, and I'm going to choose typography. So the first thing is once we're in, go ahead to Window, Workspace, and choose Typography. When we do that, automatically all the windows and all the type windows we need are going to be open and handy and easy for us to access. Okay, do you guys all have your typography workspace up? And so when you do that, you'll see right across the top, here is my toolbars on the left, and across the top, here is all my type tools right across the top. And then the windows I need, which is my Pages window. So let's start there. We have the Pages window open, and you'll see those are my two spreads. They're sitting right side by side because I started it off with an even number. And so you see 20 and 21, 22 and 23. If I did not use an even number, I'm going to go back to page setup and just show you what it would look like if I forget that step. If I left it at the default, which is 1, this is what happens. And I'm going to zoom out so you can see. That's what happens to your page, your spreads. You'd have one page up here, 2 pages in the middle, and a page at the bottom. That's what happens if you don't change the page number to an even number. So I'm going to go back to my even number. Okay. So the next step for us is we're going to go ahead and set up that baseline grid. So if you're on a Mac, you're going to go to Preferences, InDesign, Preferences, Grids. If you're on a PC, you're going to go to Edit, Preferences, Grid. I don't know why Adobe does that, but they put them in 2 completely different places if you're on a Mac and a PC. It doesn't make sense, but that's where it is. So if you're on a PC, you're going to go under Edit, Preferences, Grid, Mac, InDesign, Preferences, Grid. So we're going to go ahead once we're in our Preferences window, we're going to go ahead and start at 0. Relative to top of margin. Increment every, this is your leading. I'm using a 12 point, which happens to be the default. So that's going to stay the same. It's going to stay at 12. And then it's important to change the view threshold down to a 12.5. When you reduce it down to 12.5, we can see it when we're working, and we see it as we're learning to use the baseline grid. Okay, does everyone have that? Okay, I'm gonna say okay. And you might be saying, oh, wait, I just set up the baseline grid, but I don't see it. What you need to do is go up to Window and go, I'm sorry, not Window, View, go to View and go Guides and Grids and show baseline grid. Once you do that, your grid will show up, and there it is. Okay, so we all have our baseline grid. And so that's just like when we did our grid exercise before spring break. It's the same setup. So you guys have already done this once. So this should be, you guys have done this once before. So we should be pretty good on that. So here's the next thing. This is the new bit. So now that we have our baseline grid, we have our columns set up. The first, and you already know how to set up the modules. So I'm not going to go through that today because I know we've done that already when we did the baseline grid exercise. What we're going to work on now is setting up, working on master pages. So when we look at our pages window, which is over here, there is this, it says there's like none, and then it says a master. And when you click on a master, it's up here. And then down below is my pages 20, 21, 22, and 23. I want you to select the a master so that they turn blue. It's really important that for this next step, you are on the master page. Because what we're going to do is set up our folios. And folios are the page numbers for our whole cookbook. But because we're doing a publication, which would be a cookbook, how many pages were most of the cookbooks we researched? Who can tell me what the average cookbook, how many pages does it have? Any idea? Just guess, just any guess.
100 pages.
Yeah, like 100 pages or more. So you don't want to have to go to every page of your design and type in a change page number, right? Think of how tedious that would be if we had to go on every single page that we were laying out and type in the new page number. Well, InDesign has thought about that for you, and they've created automatic page numbering. So let me show you how that works. We're going to go into our type tool. Now we're on the master page. It's very important. The master page is wherever we have something that we want to happen on every page of our book, we're going to put it on our master page so that it automatically happens on every page of our book. So a page number is something you're going to want on every page of your book. So that is something we would set up on our master page. So we're going to go down here to the margin, and I'm going to create a type box. I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And so now I'm in the type box. I'm going to go to my ruler and pull a guide over and align it with my margin so I can see where I'm starting. I'm going to go back into my type tool. There's my type box that I'm in. And I'm going to start with just putting any number in. It doesn't matter. I'm going to hold my shift key down, add a line to divide my page number from the name of my cookbook. And I'm going to call this Mastering the Art of Cooking. Okay, so there is my folio. I'm going to now set the type. I've typed it in. I'm going to set it. So I'm going to go look again. I'm following my type study. So whatever typeface I've chosen for my cookbook, I'm going to go ahead and set up my folios in that same typeface. So let's see, I'm going to say, I'm going to set mine up in Meta. I'm going to make my type box a little bigger because I didn't make it quite big enough. Oops, you know what? Actually, I don't need to make it bigger. I just realized my type is really big. It's 12 point. I'm going to bring it down in size. I'm going to go back down to 9 point. But you know what? I think I'm going to leave my page number a little bigger at 12 point. So you can, you don't have to have all of it be the same. I'm also going to make my page number bold. So you can do things like play with the different sizes, different weights, even here down in your folio. So once I have it set the way I want it, so I'm going to say, okay, this is how I want it. I'm going to select just the number. I'm going to go up to the type tab. I'm going to go down to insert special characters, markers, current page number. So I'm in the types tab. I'm going to insert special character, markers, current page number. And then I'm going to select it. And it's going to turn into the letter A. And it's not doing that for Amy. It's doing that because we're in the master A pages. So if yours does not turn into an A, that means you're not on the master page. So that just means you need to click up on the master page and put it up on the master page. Could you all follow along? Just any questions? Okay, then what I'm going to do is go on my ruler here and pull a guide down. And I'm going to line a guide up on the baseline of my type in my folio. And I'm doing that because now I need to mirror this. So I'm going to zoom out to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So here's my master spread. I have a page number on the left side. I now need a page number on my right pages. I have only one page on the left. So I'm going to select my folio that I just designed, and I'm going to Command C if I'm on a Mac and Control C if I'm on a PC, and then Command V, Control V to paste. And I'm going to pull it over here to my right page. And now I'm going to zoom in and pull a guide down so I know how to line it up because I want it to be perfectly lined up. So pull my guide down. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to pull another guide over to line up with my margin. Right there. I'm now going to align this. It keeps wanting to. There we go. I want to align my text box right with the margin. So now I'm going to select this copy. We're mirroring it. So the first step I'm going to do is go to my paragraph window and choose flush right setting so that my copy is now flush right. My left page is flush left. My right page is flush right. So the other thing I need to do, if I'm mirroring it, the number needs to be in the corner. So I'm going to select my number, which is an A, and I'm going to cut it out of the box. So I'm going to say Command X or Control X if you're on a PC, Command V to paste it. And then I'm going to grab this little line divider that I have. Same thing, Command X. Oh, wait, hold on. Command X. Like, what is it doing? Okay. And Command V to paste it. And so now I have, I'm going to back it up. And you can see that my page numbers are both in the corners of my margin. So the numbers are both in the corners. Now, they both say A, so they don't look like numbers. But if I click now, I'm still on the master page. That's why they say A. If I click over on page 20 and 21, you can see there's 20 and 21. And I can click on 22 and 23. And you can see they say 22 and 23. And they're automatically on every page. And if I added more pages, there would be more numbers on every page I add using Master A. Any questions? Why don't we try it now? Let's take a pause and have you all, I know you've been taking notes. Let's go ahead and try it yourself and see how it goes.